सब प्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। ओम नमस्तेस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यंबकाय त्रिपुरांतकाय त्रिकालग्निकालाय कालग्निरुद्राय नीलकंठाय मृत्युंजयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय ओम महादेवाय नमः। ओम सिंहस्था शशिशेखरामलकत वृश्चैश्चतुर्भिर्भुजै शंखं चक्रधनुसरा सदर्तिं नेत्रैश्रीभिशोभिताम् आमुक्तांगदहारकनकमरदनां कञ्चालवनान्तुरा दुर्गा दुर्गतिहारिणी भवतु रत्नोलसत्कुण्डला। ओम जयंती मंगला काली भद्रकाली कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवा धात्री स्वाहा स्वधा नमस्तुते। जय त्वं देवी चामुण्डे जय भूतातिहारिणी जय सर्वगते देवी नारायणी नमस्तुते। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु मातृरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः। ओम रामाय रामभद्राय रामचंद्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताय पते नमः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। सबसे पहले ही मैं जगदम्बा माँ की चरण कमलों को नमस्कार करता हूँ। माँ की आशीर्वाद से हम लोग इस पवित्र मंदिर में उपस्थित में इस पवित्र स्थान पवित्र तीर्थ में हम लोग पहुँच गए और माँ की लीला माँ की महिमा अति महान है। हम लोग आज इस तीर्थ में वो आशीर्वाद चाहिए कृपा चाहिए कि अपने अपने जीवन में अंधकार दुख इत्यादि सभी दूर हो जाएंगे। ओम सर्वमंगल मांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरणे त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणी नमस्तुते। जगदम्बिके जय जय जगजननी माँ जगदम्बिके जय जय जगजननी माँ। जय माँ 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 जय माँ। जगदम्बिके जय जय जगजननी माँ। जगदम्बिके जय जय जगजननी माँ। क्या मन हरना सुहाया है, क्या मन हरना सुहाया है। भरो सब कुछ माँ चरणों पर, मेरे मन को ही भाया है। जगदम्बिके जय जय जगजननी माँ। जय माँ जय माँ जय माँ जय माँ। श्री राम तू ही, श्री कृष्ण तू ही, दुर्गा काली श्री राधा तू है माँ। है माँ है माँ। ब्रह्मा विष्णु शिव शंकरणे, ब्रह्मा विष्णु शिव शंकरणे। तेरा ही तेज समाया है, तेरा ही तेज समाया है। जगदम्बिके जय जय जगजननी माँ। जय माँ जय माँ जय माँ जय माँ। जय जय माँ जय जय माँ जय जय माँ जय जय माँ। जय जय माँ जय जय माँ जय जय माँ जय जय माँ। अम्बे माँ जय जय माँ जय जय माँ। जय जय माँ जय जय माँ जय जय माँ जय जय माँ। जय जय माँ जय जय माँ जय जय माँ जय जय माँ। जय जय माँ 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 जय जय माँ। जगदम्बिके जय जय जगजननी माँ। जगदम्बा माता की। Reverend Pundits, my dear brothers and sisters, Jai Mata Di. Once again, it's a great pleasure to be here. My first visit to this mandir, and it's indeed a very energizing one. And we thank the Divine Mother for her blessings. Because of her grace, that is sustenance possible this morning. And she blessed with great weather also, after all the downpour you had yesterday and last night. She cleared the skies for us, so that all of us could assemble here so peacefully, comfortably this morning to listen to her glories. So we'd like to thank the management of this mandir and all those of you who worked very hard to put together this satsang. All of us could come here and spend these few moments uh, uh, expressing our love, our devotion, our faith to the lotus feet of God and of course the Universal Mother. You want to put your hands together for musical accompaniment here. And all of you also who have made a sacrifice to come out here early this morning to be part of this very important gathering. Especially our Mariamman Amritaji. She has been very instrumental in organizing all of this, putting together. So thank you very much. Now, my dear brothers and sisters, as we know, in a few days from now, we'll be celebrating a very important festival of Mahashivratri. When is it going to be? I forgot. Friday?
Saturday.
Saturday. Right. So you know, Saturday. So it's a 24-hour celebration, beginning 6 a.m. and it continues to 6 a.m. the next day. But most devotees would observe the night from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. where you have your puja, you make abhishekam, the offerings to the lingam, the 4 praharis of the night, and 6, 9, 12, 3, and then you conclude the next morning. So it's a beautiful and very meaningful, and very important spiritual evening dedicated to the lotus feet of Shankar Bhagwan, Lord Shiva. It's a night when all of us want to take advantage of the opportunity in feeling blessed by the Supreme Lord, Lord Shiva. And of course, many are the kathas related to the powers of Bhagwan Shiva. All of us, we worship the Lord. In our daily prayers, we invoke the name of Lord Shiva. We recite the mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. Repeat, Om Namah Shivaya.
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 We chant the Mahamantra, Om Namah Shivaya. You know, when the mind becomes perturbed, when the mind becomes restless, and you become so stressed out, with all the problems you have to deal with every day, health problems, sickness, financial problems, you can't pay the bills, things going wrong with family members, and the mind becomes so irritated, so agitated, you really can't find that peace. The formula for peace is Om Namah Shivaya. You give it a try, and you meditate on that mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. Now the Westerners know this secret. People from the West, from America, from Europe, and all these big centers, they have meditation centers. And they take this mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, and they meditate on it. And that's the only, most effective remedy to get rid of stress from the mind. Om Namah Shivaya. It empowers the mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. It quiets the mind. It restores back peace to you. And then you will enjoy that state of blissful and serenity. So let us chant Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Har Har Bole Namah Shivaya. Shivaya. उमापति महादेव की one of the greatest devotees of Bhagwan Shiva is Shri Ram himself. Lord Shri Ram, his Isht, his most favorite deity was Lord Shiva. And at any given opportunity, he would unhesitatingly worship Lord Shiva. You see as he journeys into the forest, Tulsidasi describes a beautiful scene for us. He writes, Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Oh, Daba Janu Kari Raghupur Nata Puji Tar Pitnaya Mata. Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Oh, Siya Surasari Kayu Kajori Matu Manorat Purajani Mori. Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 तब मज्जव करी रघुकुल नाथा भूजी पार पिब नायो माथा. Now, after you know the scene, you have heard the scene, you watch the scene in the Ramayana, where this boatman Kevat took Sri Ram across the Ganga in his boat. And you saw pictures of the boatman washing the feet of Sri Ram, and then he took him across the Ganga. So when they got on the other side of the Ganga, and he bade farewell to his boatman, it was time for Sri Ram to continue his journey now into the forest. And Sri Ram is teaching all of us here how we must carry out our journey in life. So after this boatman said goodbye, what Sri Ram did at that point, Tulsidasi writes, Sarva Majjano Kari Raghukulanasha. He went and he bathed in the waters of the Ganga. He took a bath in the Ganga. Now after you take a bath, what do you do normally? In the morning, you wake up, you shower. Where you go? To the kitchen? You go to your prayer room, that's all. And you pray. So likewise, and you see the fact that Sri Ram was doing this simply tells us that this is something he was doing all his life. Ever since he was a little boy growing up in his parents' home, after he would shower in the morning, then he would report to his prayer room, the place of prayer. So here there's no prayer room now. He's here in the open. He's here in the Ganga. There is no murti, nothing there. So here he is. He takes a bath in the Ganga. And after that, he wants to pray. He wants to perform his puja like he did all his life. So how would he do it? And Tulsidasi describes for us how he's going to pray, to whom he's going to pray, how he's going to perform puja. Now he's teaching us here that it is difficult to pray without all our beautiful murtis. These murtis are here for a reason. The murtis of Ma is here for a reason, of Ganesha, of all the deities we worship. Because these murtis should not be seen as clay objects, should not be seen as images or idols. These murtis are legitimate, authentic manifestations of God. Bhagwan is present in the murti becomes God. So when you look at these murtis, and sometimes, you say, well, this murti is made out of clay, simple clay, and it doesn't look like God. You see, you have to look deeper in the murti, and then you realize the power that murti has. Because a simple murti made out of clay can do wonders in your life, can perform miracles in your life, can heal you when you're sick, can come through for you when you have financial difficulties, can come through for you when you have relationship problems. Whatever stress you're going through, that simple clay murti that you pray to, that murti, the powers in that murti can resolve all your crises, all your problems. What empowers the murti, what fuels it, is your faith and devotion that you place in that specific form of God. Here Shri Ram wants to perform puja. He doesn't have any murti. But what is he going to do? He's going to make one. He's going to make one. So what he does? Tulsidas, he tells us, Puji Parapiyanayo Mata. With his own hands, he got some clay of the river, and he molds a murti, not a lingam, a murti of Lord Shiva. There's another episode in Ramayana where he worshipped the lingam at Rameshwaram. But here at that point, before he would continue his journey to the forest, now he made this clay, out of clay, the murti of Lord Shiva. And then Paranaya Mata means he bowed his head and he performed his puja to this murti now of Shiva that he had just consecrated. How doesn't that tell us something?
Yeah.
Shri Ram has come to set the example for all of us. God is present in the clay even before it is molded to become the shape of the murti. All shapes are His shapes, all forms are His forms. He is present in all the elements. There is no place where He is not present. So here Shri Ram performed the puja to Bhagwan Shiva. At the slightest opportunity, he himself worshipped Lord Shiva. And to get the blessings of Bhagwan Shiva before he could proceed into the forest to continue his journey. Now we have the opportunity on Mahashivratri day at Shivratri night to perform the same puja that Bhagwan Shri Ram performed. Not only in Shivratri, but every week or every day, our daily prayers comprises of our devotion to the feet of the Lord. Now, when you do so, you are invoking the blessings of Bhagwan. When you pray to that murti, your prayer will go unanswered. The Lord knows. He listens and He responds. You may not hear a voice speaking to you, but you know He's responding silently. He knows what your situation is. He knows what your needs are. And more importantly, He knows what you deserve. And He's going to grant all of this to you if and when you are a true and a faithful servant and devotee of the Lord. He knows you already know yourself. He believes in you. You have to believe in the Lord who believes in you. Because He knows us well. We are all His children. That is the reason why He is that all-compassionate Lord, Bhagwan Shiva, who overlooks the mistakes and the faults and limitations of the devotees, and He willingly embraces us all because we are His children. Now in the Mahashivpura, there are many, many great stories of the powers of Bhagwan Shiva. And this is the story of Upamanyu. Upamanyu was a little boy, 5 years old. And he grew up in poverty. So poor was his family that he didn't know what milk tasted like. So one day, he happened to visit his mama's house. His mother takes him there for a visit. And for the very first time in his life, he would taste milk. His mama gave him some milk. Now he loved the taste of his milk so much that when he returned home with his mom, he said, "Mom, can you please give me some more of that milk? I need some more of that milk. I tasted at Mama's house." The mother didn't have the means to provide milk for his child. So she just grounded some seeds and she tried to make like They look alike, taste alike milk. So when he tasted, he says, "No, Ma, ये दूध नहीं है. This is not milk. This is not a milk I had at my mama's house. I want real milk." Mother began to cry. Tears began to flow from her eyes. "Son, we are so poor. I would love to provide you all the milk in the world, but because of this poverty, I can't do so. But I know someone who can provide you a lot of milk, and his name is Shiva. Take this mantra, O son, Om Namah Shiva, and meditate on him, and he will fulfill your desires." She became the guru of her son. He took his mantra faithfully, and he went into the forest, and he began his tapasya. 1 year went by, 2 years went by, surviving only on fruits and roots, and then only on air. And he began to petition Bhagwan Shiva. "O Lord, Darshana do, Darshana do, Darshana do, haath jod ke, haath jod ke, baar baar ek nannha balak bole, chota balak bole, darshan do, darshan do, darshan do Baba bole, darshan do Baba bole, haath jod kar baar baar ek nannha balak bole, chota balak bole, darshan do, darshan do, darshan do Baba bole, darshan do Baba bole. मैं एक दुखिया माँ का बेटा, मैं एक दुखिया माँ का बेटा, बस यही मेरी कहानी। नहीं पास है कुछ है भगवन, केवल वाक का पानी। मुझे निर्धन हूँ, मुझे निर्धन हूँ, इन अखियों से आओ बात जोड़े, दर्शन दो बाबा भोले, दर्शन दो बाबा भोले, हाथ जोड़ कर बार बार एक नन्हा बालक बोले, छोटा बालक बोले, दर्शन दो, दर्शन दो, दर्शन दो बाबा भोले, दर्शन दो बाबा भोले, दर्शन दो बाबा भोले. And this little child, so innocent, he prays with faith to Bhagwan Shiva. मैं एक दुखिया माँ का बेटा. I'm this unfortunate child of my mother, O Lord. बस यही मेरी कहानी. This is my story. नहीं पास है कुछ है भगवान. I have nothing to offer to you. What can I offer you, Lord? केवल आँख का पानी. Only the tears from my eyes I can offer you. मुझे निर्धन को, मुझे निर्बल को. I'm so weak. I am so poor. Hearken to my petition, O Lord. Darshan do Baba Guru. Please grant me this darshan. And so with great faith, He prays and prays. And of course, Bhagwan Shiva is all compassionate. What he does, he manifests himself. Now he did manifest as Shiva. He came as Indra Dev. Took the form of Indra. And he says, now, why Indra? Because you want to test the faith of this child. You want to see how strong his faith is. And he says, my child, who are you praying to? He said, I'm praying to Bholenath, Holy Baba, Bhagwan Shiva. He says, Bholenath, what are you praying to Bholenath for? He says, well, I set about to get some milk, and now I put my faith in Shiva, and all I want now is darshan. So this fake form of Shiva, in form of Indra, says, listen, you don't pray to this Bholenath, you pray to me instead. I'm Indra. I'm the king of all the devatas. You put your faith in me, and whatever you want, I will give to you. You don't be afraid. Now, don't you hear these things sometimes? You hear these things sometimes, right? People come knock on your doors, and they tell you, listen, what are you praying for? I'm praying for a job. What are you praying for? But I'm sick, I want to be healed. Well, listen, you come with me to my church. You don't pray that anymore. You come with me. I'm going to give you a savior who's going to save you. And many people, innocently, out of their desperation and their helplessness, they go with it. And once you go there, that's it. You remain there. And that's how we lose our Hindu brothers and sisters to this conversion. It's very sad. Because people simply, they get carried away with these false promises. But again, as I always say, my opinion of this is different. I don't have any qualms with anyone who makes these proposals to me. They are doing their job. That is what they are trained to do. That is what they are taught to do. We know better than that. We should know better than that. And we should see all of this as exactly what's happening in the Shiv Puran here, as a test of faith. A God testing our faith. He sends people to test your faith, to see how strong your faith is, to see whether you're weak or you're strong. Lord Shiva especially, he loves to test you. And whenever he tests you, my dear brothers and sisters, you expect him to pass those tests with flying colors. If you fail the test, then you can't call yourself a true Hindu. Because as a Hindu, when you were tested, you failed the test. So here this little lad, he's 5 years old, and he's being tested now by Bhagwan Shiva. Stop worshipping Shiva, you can worship me instead. I'm going to give you everything you want. Now any child would have fallen for that. Any adult would have fallen for that. You have your problems, you have a situation, and someone comes and offers you help, you definitely want to go with that person because you want help. Desperately, you want help. Whatever it takes, whoever it takes, you want help. But this little boy, his faith was so strong in Lord Shiva. He was so strong that he would not budge. No matter what he was offered, no matter what he was proposed, no matter what he was told, he did not ever waver from his faith in Bhagwan Shiva. Now that is the kind of faith you must have. That regardless of what is happening to you in your life, whatever situations you encounter in life, good or bad, hold on strongly to the faith in the Lord that you worship. The Lord you know, the Lord you're accustomed to talk to. Keep that faith strong. And so he held on to that faith, and he tells this fake form of Shiva, Indra, no. And he says, you know what? If you're going to keep talking, and then he began, now this Indra began to say a lot of bad things. You worshiping this Shiva? You know, his snakes around his neck. He's got ashes from inflammation, grunts, speared in his body. And all these derogatory things he was saying about Shiva. Now this little child got so upset. You're going to say this is about my God who I worship, who I love so much, who I put so much faith in. And he takes some ashes and he says, I'm going to invoke Shiva in these ashes, and this ash will become a weapon. I will destroy you right now. And he invokes Om Namah Shivaya, the power of Bhagwan Shiva in these ashes. I was about to hurl this at this fake form of Shiva's Indra. And then Bhagwan Shiva grabs his hand and he reveals his form now, true form of Shiva, and Parvati appeared. Said, my child, you're blessed. And Parvati Ma lifts him up and cuddles him in her arms. Now can you imagine being cuddled by the Lord? He got a darshan Bhagavan Shiva and says, look, Upamanyu, look ahead. All you have oceans and oceans of milk and curds and dahi and honey. All of these is yours. And he said, Lord, I set about to worship you because of one glass of milk. But now that I found you, what else do I need? I don't want anything. Your darshan now. Now I feel I'm blessed. My entire life journey is now accomplished. Bless me with this boon of bhakti, of devotion. That's all I want. Bhagavan Shiva blessed him, and of course he rose to become this great saint, this great sage. That is the powers of Bhagavan Shiva. That's how he works in our lives as well. And it's all because of the faith and devotion you put in the Lord. This is the result you get from such an effort. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Bam Bam Bhole Shiv Shankar, Om Namah Shivaya. Bam Bam Bhole Shiv Shankar, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Somnath Sara Shariraje, Jamgano Bhaiya, Shri Shaila par Mallikarjun, Sundaron ki kaiya, Vaidyanatha Bhima Shankar ki aisi adam kahani. 12 ज्योतिर्लिंगों की महिमा जग में जानी मानी। 12 ज्योतिर्लिंगों की महिमा जग में जानी मानी। बम बम भोले शिव शंकर, ओम नमः शिवाय। ओम नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय। ओम नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय। ओम नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय। उज्जैनी की महाकाल की कर लो पूजा मन से। ओंकारेश्वर की महिमा की गालो बड़े जतन से, गालो बड़े जतन से, गालो बड़े जतन से। रामेश्वर नागेश की भक्तु लागी जटा सुहानी। 12 ज्योतिर्लिंगों की महिमा जग में जानी मानी। 12 ज्योतिर्लिंगों की महिमा जग में केदारनाथ कृष्णेश शिवाले पवित्रता के निशानी 12 ज्योतिर्लिंगों की महिमा जग में जानी मानी 12 ज्योतिर्लिंगों की महिमा जग में जानी मानी बम बम भोले शिव शंकर ओम नमः शिवाय 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 बोलो महापति महादेव की Now my dear brothers and sisters, you will observe Lord Shiva is worshipped in two forms. He's worshipped as a murti and in the lingam as well. And you want to know why? Because the other forms of God, you have one form. The mother, for example, worships the murti, Bhagwan Shri Ram the murti, Bhagwan Krishna the murti, Hanumanji the murti. But in Lord Shiva's case, is the murti plus the lingam. So, how do we explain this? Well, Bhagwan Shiva is both Nirgun and Sadgun. He is formless and he is with form. He has no form and he has a form. He has all forms and his form. So this lingam, what it represents, the lingam is a combination here of the upper part and the lower part, the superior part, inferior part. And the lingam represents the energies of the Lord. Energy of the Lord, which is responsible for creation, is the fusion, the combination of the male primordial energy and the female Shakti counterpart. When they have a fusion of these two energies, they're responsible for creation. And everything you look at, beginning with this human body, what we have in this human body here is 50% male DNA and 50% female DNA. And that is depicted by this Ardhanarishwar form, where one half is Shiva and the other half is Shakti. So Shiva and Shakti, you cannot separate the two, because without one, the other can't function. Without the Shakti, Bhagwan Shiva cannot function. So that Shakti is the animating force. See, if you look at this word Shiva, it's very, very close to a word you call Shava. You have Shiva and you have Shava. Now, what's the difference? Shiva means the Lord, auspiciousness, and is the animated form, the animated Shakti. So you have Sha, E, Va. You take the E out, and Sha and Va, Shava means, right? Shava means a corpse or a lifeless body. So when the Shakti comes out of the body, this body becomes a Shava. When the Shakti is in this body, then this body becomes Shiva. Shankaracharya was walking one day. A little boy approached him and asked him and said, "Sir, tell me, who are you?" If I were to ask you the same question, who are you? What would you answer me? You will say, "Well, I am Vikram." Now, if you are Vikram, then when Vikram dies, Vikram is gone forever. Means when this body here is what your name, if the name identifies this body, when this body dies, then you die, because you are this body. But it cannot be like that, because when this body dies, you don't die. You continue to exist after this body goes. You existed before you entered this body. So this body is just a small interim of existence in a physical form. So Shankaracharya thought hard about this question. Little boy asked him this question, put him to think, who are you? Then he begins to question himself, who am I? Am I what I see in the mirror? This physical costume? And he came to the conclusion. Mano buddha hamkara chittarinaham nacha shrutra jihave nacha ghrana netre nacha vyoma bhumir na tejo na vayu chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. He begins the question, am I this physical body? And he came to the conclusion, Mano buddha hamkara chittaninaham. I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not this even consciousness, I am not the 5 elements, I am not the 5 sense organs of this body. Then what am I? Who am I? Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am that soul of knowledge and bliss. I am Shiva. I am Shiva. When the Atman is present here, then this becomes Shiva. Now, you said, how can we be Shiva? Is it possible? Well, there's no difference between the Jiv Atman and Paramatman. Jiv Atman is a spark from Paramatman. If you take a drop of water from the ocean, we're all dropped from that ocean. If you take a drop of the ocean and you were to analyze this drop chemically, you will find that what you find in that one drop of water, the same thing you find in the ocean. Is that so? This one drop is no different from the rest of the ocean because it came from the ocean. So, when you look at this drop, the conclusion is you're not necessarily a drop of the ocean. What it also means, you are the entire ocean in that one drop. That is what it means. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am that soul of knowledge and bliss. I am Shiva. If Shiva is the ocean, and I am the drop from that ocean, then I am no different from that drop. Because the Jiv Atma, the nature of the soul is pure. The soul becomes conditioned by karma performed by this physical body. And that condition, of course, sends the souls to different births in different forms. But at the end of it all, the purity of that soul remains intact. So Shiva and Shava, the distinction is, Shava becomes the corpse, becomes a lifeless body when this Shakti exits the body. So that Shakti there is Ma. She's depicted as Mariamman, she is Durga Ma, she is Saraswati Ma, Lakshmi Ma. All these forms of mother is Shakti, is that power. Without that Shakti, nothing functions. The sun cannot rise in the morning without the Shakti. The waves and the ocean cannot move without the Shakti. The wind cannot blow without the Shakti. You can't see without the Shakti. You can't speak without the Shakti. You can't walk without the Shakti. You can't function. The body dies, becomes lifeless without that Shakti. That's the animating power, the feminine aspect of Bhagavan Shiva. That is why Shiva and Shakti are always together, with the feminine counterpart. So that's who we are, my dear brothers and sisters. Now, coming back to this lingam. So this lingam is a combination of a male and female Shakti. Both are responsible for the creation of the entire universe and the sustenance as well, and final dissolution too. If you take the tiniest aspect of creation, which is the atom, which is invisible, you can't see it, that atom also has a negative and a positive charge. It has protons, it has electrons. So from the tiniest particle of creation to the most magnanimous part of creation, you find contained in all of this Shiva and Shakti. So this is not a case whether you believe in Shiva or you don't believe in Shiva. It's the reality of the presence and existence of Bhagavan Shiva. You have to believe, because he's for real. So when we worship his lingam, we are worshipping the formless aspect of Lord Shiva. See, the lingam, unlike the murti, it has no ears, it has no mouth, it has no nose, it has no limbs, it has no feet, it has no hands, it has no organ. So that represents, and the rungness there represents the infinity, infinite nature, the vastness of the powers of Bhagavan Shiva. So the lingam, when you worship that lingam, you're worshipping the formless aspect of Lord Shiva. In the murti, you are worshipping the saguna aspect. So says the Shiva Puran, that Shiva with form. And these two aspects are being worshipped, especially on this night of Mahashivratri. Because when you worship Lord Shiva, On the night of Shivratri, whatever desire may be in the mind, Lord Shiva fulfills all those desires. That is a very auspicious night, the most auspicious night when your prayers are heard and answered and responded to. And you take advantage of that moment, especially when you offer the bela leaves there on the lingam of Bhagwan Shiva, and you engage in the Abhishekam as well. Each item connotes a different benefit when you worship Bhagwan Shiva in this manner. So Lord Shiva is very easy to be pleased. He's the Lord of compassion. He forgives, He destroys sins, and He embraces and shelters His devotee. And that is the protection all of us need. The world needs it. As we speak, the world is in chaos. There's destruction everywhere. You've seen what has happened in the earthquake recently, a few days ago. You've seen the catastrophe. You've seen the disaster. You've seen death and destruction in this path. More than 20,000 people have perished in one single natural disaster. And then around the world also, the victims of war, the victims of terrorism, the victims of famine, victims of drought, victims of disease. COVID did its damage. More than 1 billion people alone died in America, victims of COVID, and millions more around the world. All of these things are happening. He's the Lord of destruction. That is the reason why you pray to Him, so that He can save the world and save us all. Did He save the world? Out the churning of the ocean, when that halal poison came, Bhagwan Shiva chose to consume that poison so that the rest of the world could be saved. And so He rinses us all our toxins also, with all the toxicity of the world, when you pray to Him with a heart full of faith and devotion. So we give Bhagwan Shiva some praise. Shiva ji ke mandir mein, 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 आओ बैठो जपो हरि नाम, शिवा जी के मंदिर में, जपो हरि नाम, शिवा जी के मंदिर में, शिवा जी के मंदिर में, आओ बैठो जपो हरि नाम, शिवा जी के मंदिर में, आओ बैठो जपो हरि नाम। सोने के दो मूर्ति बनी है, एक सीता एक राम, शिव जी के मंदिर में, आओ बैठो जपो हरि नाम, फूल चढ़ाओ और आरती उतारो, गाओ सुबह और शाम, आओ बैठो जपो हरि नाम, आओ बैठो जपो हरि नाम, शिव जी के मंदिर में। Bhagwan Shiva is easily identifiable. When you look at the murti of the Lord, you see all these very important, significant symbols around His body. And the most prominent symbol is the Ganga flowing from the jata of Bhagwan Shiva. And it tells of the story of Bhagirath, who performed tapasya, and then Bhagwan Shiva and Ganga Ma decided to descend on earth. Bhagwan Shiva in the jata, he received the Ganga Ma, and from that spot, then she began to flow, and flows throughout the entire world and becomes oceans. And that's the origin, the source of the water of all the oceans. So that's why as Hindus we perform Ganga Puja, because Ganga is considered to be very holy. In fact, Ganga Ma is a symbol of life, because without that, without water, there is no life on earth. And we'll be having a Ganga Puja, just to remind you of, 2 Sundays from now, which will be on the 26th of February, not next Sunday, the following Sunday, at La Mercy Beach We normally started this many years now, and it's growing every year. You can bring your prasadam, your fruits, your milk, and you offer them to the Divine Mother Ganga Ma. Now, I'm pretty sure many of you went to India. When you went to India, you went to Rishikesh, Haridwar, you saw the Ganga Aarti there every day from Ganga Aarti. It shows how much reverence is given to Ganga Ma in India. Now, you have an entire ocean for yourself. It's called the Indian Ocean. So to whom the Indian Ocean belongs? They could name it American Ocean, or European Ocean, or any other name. They chose to call it the Indian Ocean because it belongs to the Indians. They could have called it African Ocean too. Right? It's the Indian Ocean. So you own it. So it belongs to us. You have to worship Mom. You have to worship her. And that's what we're going to do 2 weeks from now. So hopefully you all can join us there. It'll be early in the morning at 7 a.m. For the Ganga Puja. So this Ganga flows from the jata of Bhagwan Shiva. Shankar teri jata mein behti hai Ganga dhara. Shankar teri jata mein behti hai Ganga dhara. Kali hai kati andar jimidamini ujala. Shankar teri jata mein behti hai Ganga dhara. Shankar teri jata gale mund mal raje shashi bal mein viraje. Gale mund mal raje shashi bal mein viraje.